Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. I am standing on a yoga mat, but don't be intimidated if you don't have one. Just find a place in your house that isn't too slippery. Maybe you've got a carpeted area or a rug that you can use. I'm barefoot. If you prefer to wear shoes, all good. Some other things that will be handy, I think, to have are a couple of blocks. If you don't have those, sturdy books will do the trick. A folded blanket or towel, sometimes it's nice to sit on or to pad our knees. And speaking of sitting on things for our cool down stretches in particular, I have a bona fide bolster, but a cushion from your couch or a sturdy pillow would be great. I'm a fan of having a chair nearby for balance. So maybe you have a chair, you can also sometimes use a wall. And then we will start, as we often do, in the most basic of poses, but the pose that we do the most often in our real life, mountain pose. So face the long edge of your mat, or imagine that you have a mat and you're facing the long edge of your mat. I'm going to turn to face you quite often so that I know that I can see you and you can see me. Feet hip distance, palms face out. Stack ears over shoulders, over hips, over heels. And let's use this mountain as a bit of a metaphor to stop so that we can start. You might even close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. Become very aware of the rise and fall of your breath. And if it's possible, let your breath just travel through your nose. Of course, mostly I want you to breathe, so breathe any way that you need to. In this whole practice, we want to cast aside the idea that things are right or wrong. In my pretty long teaching career, people email me or ask me, am I doing this pose right? If it feels good to you, it's right. If it's painful, sharp, too much, that's not the best idea. It's not that you're doing it wrong, it just might be the wrong way of doing things. So I want us to let that extreme of right and wrong fall away, as if we were breathing a new energy into it. Something more fluid like waves, less like a wall. And then we will step long on our mat, wide on our mat, thumbs to the sky. Aim your ankles underneath your wrists. So that's kind of like your arms are a measuring stick almost. And then turn your heels in and your toes out. And bend your knees like a little bit of a plie. And then straighten your legs. So we're doing what's called dynamic movement. Bend your knees. Now this time when we straighten our legs, V-shape your arms overhead, thumbs to the sky. Bend your knees, arms out to the side. Straighten your legs, thumbs to the sky, V-shape. Bend your knees, arms out to the side. Straighten your legs, V-shape overhead. We're going to go back and forth. I want you to think of this as being fluid like waves. And even your attitude about doing this, fluid like those waves. So if you find that you need to take a little moment at the top with your legs straight and lowering your arms for a break, you are like waves. You're willing, you're fluid. You don't feel like you're doing anything wrong. You're able to swim into your practice without expectation. Just awareness. We'll do this a few more times, or maybe you're taking that rest that I've offered up, bending and straightening, finding that dynamic. Now pause with your legs straight, float your arms alongside. So we've joined those of you who maybe made this choice a bit earlier, which was right for you. And then we'll bend our knees again, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Take your right forearm across your right thigh, but keep your left knee bending and your left thumb to the sky in that V shape here. And then come through center. If you wanted to, you could take that straightening and rebending that we just did, and then left forearm across the thigh and right thumb to the sky. Pause for a second just so we feel the architecture of both knees bending as best we can, not because we're doing it wrong. It's all right. Down the middle, you could straighten your legs and then rebend them. Right forearm across the thigh, left thumb to the sky will move like waves here. Through center, you could straighten your legs. Left forearm across the thigh, right thumb to the sky. Through center and over to the right. Through center and over to the left. Through center and over to the right. If your tempo is different than mine, honor it. We'll go back and forth. I will be quiet so that you can just appreciate the sound of your waves. Finish up one more round. And then make your way to center and straighten your legs. Float your arms along your sides. Heel toe until we find our way back into our mountain. We want to set up props for what we'll get into next. If you're using blocks, take your blocks off your mat so they're not underfoot. We never want them right where we're working. And let them be at either side of your mat like I've done here. You could use your chair, sometimes that feels even better, and just place that in the middle of your mat, but off your workspace again. And then we'll come back to our wide stance, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Ankles under wrists. And then this time we're setting up for triangle pose. So turn your right leg out, let your right foot face the short edge of your mat. Cheat your back heel at a 45-degree angle, thumbs to the sky, not a side bend, a hinge at the hip. So think a little sass as you lift that left hip and you hinge at your right hip. And then reach long out in front of you and take your hand either to a block tall on the outside of your right foot or to the base of your chair, which will give you even more space. All of us are conscientious of keeping our head above our hips. And then we'll settle into this straight-legged pose, which feels kind of nice after all that time with our knees bent. Spin your inner upper arms away from one another. Allow your right big toe mound to press into your mat. So there's the tiniest little dusting of a bend to your right knee. Even though I just said it's a straight-legged pose, we don't want it to be locked out because we are fluid like the waves. A few moments together here in our triangle meditation. Now I'm going to recommend that we mindfully move our props on the way out. So take a look down and bend your right knee. If you're using a block, if you're using a chair, it's probably fine where it is, but move your block off your work area, come all the way upright, turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat, turn your left leg out, cheat your right heel back, thumbs to the sky. We're setting up our second side. You may need to adjust your chair forward a little bit. All good. Hinge at your hips, so remember not a side bend. Little sass with the right hip lifting now. We reach way out. Likely we find a block or we find the base of our chair. And then we pause as we press into our left big toe mound. We stay with that hip hinge. We stay with a little sense of spaciousness that we can feel in our body, but we also weave into our mindset. See if you can press into that left big toe mound as a reminder to have the tiniest little bit of bend in your left knee, your front knee. Last few moments here together. And then let's be a bit prop conscious again on our way out. So take a look down, bend your front knee, move your block off your work area if you're using it, and then firm through your belly, come upright, thumbs to the sky. Turn all your toes to face that long edge of your mat. We'll stay with our long stance for a moment. Heels in, toes out. Remember we did this just a moment ago? Arms go back out to the side with our thumbs to the sky. Now bend your right elbow. First, actually take your right arm to that V shape, and then bend your right elbow and pat yourself on the back. Now, take your left thumb to face down, and bring the back of your left hand to the small of your back. Remember, you can straighten and rebend your legs anytime. Then, extend your arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Take your left arm into that V shape, and then pat yourself on the back with your left hand, turn your right thumb to face down, and situate the back of your hand onto the small of your back. So right back of the hand, small of the back. And we'll come back to arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Just straighten your legs for a moment, float your arms alongside you. We're gonna flow that like the waves that we are. And I remind you, this option to straighten your legs, anytime you feel like that's the way to go. Arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, bend your knees, we're in our plie. Bend your right elbow and pat yourself on the back. Take your left hand, small of the back with the back of your hand. And then we switch that out, thumbs to the sky as we reach out to the side. Now bend your left elbow and pat yourself on the back. Take the back of your right hand to the small of your back. Come through center, thumbs to the sky. Bend your right elbow, pat yourself on the back, and bring your left back of the hand to the small of your back, and then out to the side. Left elbow bends, you pat yourself back of the right hand to the small of your back, and then out to the sides. Right elbow bends, back of the left hand, out to the side. Left elbow bends, back of your right hand, out to the side. You might want to straighten your legs, right? Pat yourself on the back with your right hand, small of the back with the left, out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Left elbow bends, back of your right hand to the small of your back. Let's go back and forth a few more times. Feel free to straighten your legs and just do the wave arms with your legs straight. Arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, straighten your legs, lower your arms, and pause. Heel toe until we are hip distance, and let's stand into our mountain and just digest what we've done so far. A little prop moving once again. Take your chair and let the seat of your chair face you at the front edge of your mat. And then we'll just move our blocks to either side of our mat, but not underneath our feet. So we want to be mindful as we move our props too. And then facing the front edge of your mat, although I'm going to angle myself towards you, we will move wave-like through some half sun salutations. Inhale, arms out to the side, both thumbs to the sky, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and take your hands to your thighs. Inhale, traction your hands onto your thighs and lengthen your heart forward. Exhale, hinge at your hips, but keep your head higher than your hips. And then inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Float your arms along your side. How fluid can we be here? Arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs. Inhale, length through your spine. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hips. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape, and then stand into your mountain. 2 more of these. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. Hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs. Inhale, your heart forward. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hips. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, and then float your arms along your side. Last one. Inhale, V shape. Exhale, hinge. Hands to thighs. Inhale, heart forward. Exhale, increase the hinge. And then inhale, out and up, thumbs to the sky. Stand and fully inhabit your mountain. We'll make our way to the ground and use one of those sun salutations to get there. So inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, and exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs. Inhale your heart forward, take your hands to the base of your chair or onto your blocks so that we can just carefully bring ourselves down to the ground. At this point, I would highly recommend whatever it is that you're using as your bolster. I'm going to snag my Bonafide bolster, but you could take this moment to grab what you're grabbing off your couch to sit on. We'll sit in a cross-legged position. So a big indicator of what makes it a good idea to sit up on something is if your knees are pretty high. I'm tight in my hips, so I find that quite a bit. And if I sit on something, it levels out my hips and my knees so I can get into the hip rotators. That's the hip bone in its joint, versus put a whole lot of pressure on my knees. And you might find that that's helpful to you too. So on our perch, take your fingertips either off to the side. If you're up on something like I am, you might want to use your blocks to bring the ground up to you. And from here, left thumb to the sky, that V shape, and you can lean a little bit onto your right hand, so like a little bit of a side stretch, and then we'll come to center and take our left hand onto the block or onto the ground, right thumb. It's a little bit like we did in our plie earlier, and then we'll go back and forth, and we'll make waves. As you're making waves, go slow, feel fluid. Let it be sweet and side to side. Let's do just another round, side to side. And then let's sit with your hands on your thighs. If you're comfortable, close your eyes or just drift your gaze down. And take a few moments just to notice waves of thought, dancing with waves of breath. So we just did wavy movement in our body, but the waves are not limited to our physical body. Sometimes those waves of thought can feel like crashing waves, like there's almost an undertow to them. Just notice right now. And as you're here noticing, notice which of your shins is crossed in front. We have waves that are patterns that live in our body, that live in our minds. So our relationship with those waves is that we acknowledge that they're there. We're not pretending that there aren't waves of thought or waves in which we do things. We're just shifting our relationship with those waves so they feel less like they're crashing and pulling us under, and more like they are encouraging us towards the shore. Blink your eyes open. Notice the cross, and now recross with whatever shin was not in front before. We're still on our perch. We'll settle a little bit more into our meditation. So palms up or down is great. Eyes closed if you're comfortable. It's not wrong if you feel uncomfortable with your eyes closed. For some of us that feels a bit claustrophobic or just not where you want to be. So gaze down. There's all sorts of meditation styles that actually encourage you to keep your eyes open and to just divert your gaze towards the ground. Once you've decided, settle into your seat. Notice the waves of your breath rising and your breath falling. And see to what extent you can focus your mind on the rise of your breath and the fall of your breath. Your mind will try to run away into a story, into a thought, into an opinion. Don't get mad at it. Be fluid. Bring it back into the wave of rise of your breath and fall of your breath. Encourage it into the sort of wave that takes you back to shore. It doesn't pull you into the crash and the undertow. In fact, you can assign the word let to your inhale, the rise of your wave of breath, and go to your exhale as your wave brings you back to shore. And you let on the inhale, go on the exhale. We're going to stay with this for a full minute. I'm going to be silent. You will just ride the waves and let yourself let go. And then just very gently let your eyes blink open if they were closed. Again, I like to use my blocks. You could use your thick books, whatever you've got. We've been seated in a cross-legged seat with our knees bent for a while, so let's counter that. Let your legs extend out in front of you. You could stay on your perch. I'm going to. Think about our hip hinge in our triangle that we spoke of. So this is not going to be a rounded fold. Take your blocks tall out in front of you, lengthen through your spine, hinge at your hips, curl your toes back towards you. There is just a tiny softness of bend in your knees, just so we don't lock into anything, remember? We're fluid, like the waves that we just meditated on. You can reclose your eyes here or divert your gaze and think of this as a new shape to meditate in. Just about 30 seconds together here. Walk your blocks back with you if you have them. We'll take them off to the side and out of our way. So we continue our mindfulness when it comes to our props, which I feel like is very close to mindfulness when we just go about our day. Bend your knees and put your feet on the ground. We'll carefully come off of our perch. If you don't have a perch, that's fine. You don't have anything you have to come off of. Move that out of the way as well, and then let's lie down on our back. Once you're lying down, keep your knees bent with your feet hip distance, and either cactus your arms out to the side or take your arms wide out to the side. Pick up your hips just an inch and scoot them to the right, and then spill your knees to the left for a twist. If it feels good to you, you could cross your right knee on top of your left knee, but you don't have to do that. And then pause here. Come through center and place your feet hip distance on your mat. Carefully pick up your hips. Scoot them to the left and spill your knees over to the right. If you feel like crossing your left knee on top of your right knee is a nice thing, you're welcome to do that or to skip it. Remember, we're fluid. One's not right or wrong. And then come down the middle. Place your feet on your mat as wide as your mat. Let your knees knock knee in on one another. You could stay here for your Savasana final meditation, or straighten one leg and then the other leg. And feel like you're falling into the arms of the earth here. You could use your let on the inhale and go on the exhale to surrender here. Savasana, final meditation. Well, as always, I encourage you to stay in your Savasana final meditation as long as you'd like. If you're ready, gently move your fingers and toes and maybe stretch your arms and legs away from each other. Gather up your knees into your chest. Roll to either side. Bring yourself into any comfortable seat, and you could sit back up onto your bolster or cushion. Palms up or down like we did in our meditation. Just pause and receive this practice we've done together. I'm Andrea. This is Tippy, my dog. Thank you so much for practicing with me.